Do you want to get into natural running, but you just don't know what shoes to get? Then stay tuned. This is the channel for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh, and I'm a chiropractor in Ontario, Canada, and I've been practicing for the past 20 years, and I've taken care of a lot of patients, and over the years I've gotten into natural running as a way to stay fit for my patients. So I have actually transitioned from running normally, as most people do, to a more natural or minimalist style. So today I'm going to answer that question, what type of shoe you should look at, the features that you should find when you're buying a new shoe, and share some of the shoes that I've tried in the past, the ones that I currently use, and the things that I would look for when looking for a natural or barefoot shoe, and what you should, the kind of features that might benefit you in the place where you run, in the style of running, or the area that you run in. Be sure to subscribe, click the like button, and press on the bell notification if you want to be notified for any time I put a brand new video up. Now, let's get on with the show. So when you're looking for a natural shoe, there's certain characteristics that you're going to be looking for. First off, you want to make sure that it is neutral, meaning that there is the same thickness in the heel as there is in the toe. Your toe is not slanting forward. Most running shoes, if you purchase them, they actually have a thick heel, as this one has a thick heel, and very, very thin at the toe. And what that does is it promotes the heel strike. For natural shoes, you don't want the heel strike, so you want it nice and even through the whole length. So that's the first thing. Number two, you want to make sure it's very flexible. You want to make sure your shoe is extremely flexible, because the more flexible it is, that allows the foot and all the bones and the joints in the foot to actually move the way that they're supposed to, so that your foot can actually function the way that it was designed to. If you have a very thick or very stiff sole, that's not going to allow you the bones and the joints to move, and it's going to change the biomechanics of the foot, and that's going to change the way that you run. So you want to make sure your foot is able to move the way that it's designed to. And the last thing, for the most part, and it's not really essential, but it is what we see in a lot of the minimalistic shoes, is they're usually very light, which is nice. So there's not a lot of resistance when you're lifting your foot up, so it feels like you actually are almost barefoot. One of the most pure barefoot natural shoes would be one of these things. It's called the Zero sandal. It's made by the company Zero, and what it is basically you put it on your foot. It's like a little thong that goes to through your toes, but it's super, super thin, extremely flexible, so you are truly running barefoot. Now, this is not what I would recommend for you at the beginning. This is something that you'd want to be more advanced to try, because you want to make sure that your body can actually handle the natural running technique. I bought this personally, not necessarily to run in. I bought it to actually walk around in, because it's a summer shoe and it's barefoot. So I walk around in it, but I've actually ran in this too as well, and it actually works quite well. So this would be the most simplest form of barefoot shoe that you can get. So if you think of what this one has, it's flat, it's light, it's extremely flexible, it has everything that you're looking for. One of the barefoot shoes that I actually started off with was one that had the 5-finger toe shoes, and unfortunately I couldn't find my shoe, so I couldn't bring it in as an example. But it's the shoes that have the toes that are separated in each one. That's actually not a bad shoe to start off with. Again, it's very light, very flexible. It does have a little bit of a heel, so it's not perfectly neutral. It has, I think, a couple degrees up. But again, it's a great shoe to start off with. Now, there's a company, New Balance came out with their own version, but instead of having the toes, they made it into an actual shoe itself. So this is basically a form of a natural barefoot shoe, because it's very flexible, it's very, very light, but it does have a thicker heel than it does as a toe. So if you're transitioning from normal running to natural running, this might be something that you'd want to choose. Now, if you notice, most running shoes are very narrow. Most natural running shoes are very wide on the toe, and you can see the thickness of these toes are quite different. And the reason is as you get more into natural running, your feet will want to spread, and so you want to have that flexibility to be able to have your toes stretch out and for your feet to spread a little bit. And so the unfortunate thing about this shoe is it's a fantastic natural running shoe to get started in, but it's very restricted, it's very tight, so it doesn't allow your feet to spread apart. But this would be a good one to start off with if you're actually looking at trying to experiment with the natural running. Now the Newtons these are the shoes that I started with. And this shoe is basically, it's like a normal shoe like I used as an example previously. Has a thick heel, a very thin toe, but it's not designed to do a heel strike like most running shoes, because if you have a thick heeled shoe, you'll actually end up doing this kind of a strike, right, and roll, which we're gonna talk about biomechanics in future videos, so it'll break it down a little bit more detailed. This shoe has these these pads on the front of the basically the ball of the foot, and what it does is it increases the size of it so that when you land, you naturally are going to want to pitch forward. Sorry, I'm turning this way. It's going to want to make you pitch forward, and so that you land more mid-strike, midsole, forefoot kind of a strike to propel yourself forward. So it actually mimics that natural running technique. And so this is actually a fantastic shoe to start off with if you want to try it, but you're really kind of afraid. This is a good one to start with. I do recommend that if you do start with a natural running shoe like a Newton, that again, you work your way up to it. If you go for long runs, anything over like a few kilometers, you might want to bring a backpack with your old shoes, run with these for about a kilometer or 2 or a mile, change into your older shoes, and then finish off the run with your old shoes, just because it takes time for your calves and your muscles and ligaments to adapt to it. So this one really is again, it's like every natural shoe, but you do have to have an adaptability with this one. These shoes here are my Vivoactives. They're a shoe that I actually purchased for mainly, actually, to be honest, I've ran in these shoes, but they're mostly my walk around kind of shoes. The shoes I use on a day-to-day basis, you know, doing errands, going to and back to work. I find it an extremely comfortable shoe, and it promotes the nice barefoot natural lifestyle on a day-to-day basis. This is a fantastic shoe to run with. If you are doing adventure races, like where you run in the water and then you swim, often a lot of the guys will use the Vivoactives because they look almost like a little bit of like a water shoe. So, and they have a lot of pores, so that allows a lot of water through. If that's not your game and you just want to run, this is still an awesome option for a running shoe. It does have a little bit narrower of a midsole compared to the Zeros, but again, fantastic shoe to run with, and I would run these any day. But again, I find them so comfortable, I just wear them every day. These ones here are my Leguanos. My Leguanos are my shoes that I actually wear at work specifically because they're black. They look a little more professional, but as you can see, they are extremely light, extremely flexible, and they are very neutral. They're completely neutral, zero drop from the heel to the toe, which is fantastic. The nice thing about Leguanos is if you can see the bottom of their sole, they got a very thick rubbery sole, which is amazing. So if you are in an area where you run in gravel a lot, or if you run in very uneven surfaces where there's sharp edges, these would be fantastic shoes for that. They don't have a very super wide foot. I've never had an issue with the tightness in the sides there. They're not as wide as the Zeros again, but they're very fantastic, extremely comfortable. They have a cloth upper, but I've never had any issues with them as far as tearing. It was actually one thing I was worried about them is how long the top would last. I've had these for over a year, and they look just as they did when they got brand new, except a little bit of wear just from walking around in them. Fantastic shoes, great shoes for someone if you're doing a lot of gravel running. Now Zero, these are my shoes that I'm actually running on right now. These are my go-to runners. And they're my zero runners. Now I'm not sported or sponsored by any of these shoe companies, as you can tell. I have lots of different shoe styles that I like, but these are the ones that I've chosen for my running. They got a very wide toe box, which is fantastic, extremely flat, extremely flexible, and they feel really good. I actually have a pair of these that I have in a hiking form that I use when I go hiking, which is fantastic. Don't have any complaints as far as these ones go. The only issue that I do have is if you run in a very hilly area, because the toe is so round and so flat, it's got a bigger a toe box and is extremely flat. I do find that I do slap a lot. It makes more slappier noise than a lot of my other shoes compared to the Leguanos or the Vivoactives. But the Zeros have a tendency to have a lot of slappy. So if you're okay with the slappy noise, it should be not a problem. I find these extremely comfortable to run in, except if you run on gravel. These are, because they are so thin, you do feel the gravel quite a bit until you get used to it. And if that's the case, then again, I would recommend the Leguanos because those would probably be better to suit your purposes. But if you're running mostly on the road or on paved trails, this is a fantastic shoe and is a very super light shoe and a great shoe to get to. Now, if you're a Canadian, the positive thing is it's very difficult. There's a few stores I'll leave in the description below where you can actually get some of these shoes. Zeros you can actually buy now at Mountain Equipment Co-op, which is it's just a pretty cool thing. So that's where I bought these ones, which is kind of a neat. It's nice to find them at a big name store versus just having to order them online. But there's a couple stores that I actually lean to as far as where I get my shoes, and I can direct you to those two as well in the descriptions. So thanks for making it to the end of the video. I appreciate you staying with me. If you like this video, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and the bell notification so that you can get notified every time I put up a new video. I'm excited about having you here, and I look forward to seeing you. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the trails. I'm Dr. Josh, the Natural Running Doc, helping you run naturally one step at a time. Bye.